I was not going to make a video this week. I have been dealing with a complex medical issue that is going to result in an infected tooth getting pulled from my skull tomorrow, well, today if you're watching this on this date, so writing a script and slapping some stuff on top of it wasn't exactly in my best interest, and I wasn't feeling super inspired due to the aforementioned health problems and pain meds that make me too sleepy to do anything productive. However, then I saw this.
Moana! That's right. We are so excited and happy to announce that a live-action reimagining of Moana is in the works.
My exact reaction was, oh god, not again, please no, God help us all. First of all, I don't think I've ever talked about Disney on this channel really, but I am a Disney fan, I'm a theme park fan, I'm a lore enthusiast, and I have a real and genuine appreciation for Disney and Pixar animation and the way their films have influenced my interest in storytelling and entertainment media. If this makes me a Disney adult, sue me, I don't care, Magic Kingdom still kicks ass. However, Disney is not above critique, especially in their most recent decade of business strategy, which seems to be geared toward avoiding making anything original in favor of quantity over quality IP bait, and then dumping it all on Disney+. That's easy low-hanging fruit. However, the live-action remake machine to me is more of a personal, deeper-cutting problem. When they first started making these movies with the Alice in Wonderland adaptation back in like 2010, I got on board with it maybe for, you know, the novelty of the idea and the visuals and the fact that it was a legitimate reimagining of a Disney animated classic. The film had a stacked cast and ultimately made an ungodly amount of money. I remember being in a packed theater to watch it with my family. I was like 12 at the time, but I couldn't give you an honest indicator of the film's quality because I don't remember it that well and because at that age I had the brain development of a starving Tamagotchi pet. But regardless of the film's quality or reception, the venture ended up being so profitable for Disney that they embarked on a mission to begin remaking all of their animated classics. And this has rubbed me the wrong way for several reasons that we'll get into. At first, I don't think that these remakes, while entirely pointless, were always ill-intentioned. It seemed to me, after Alice in Wonderland, whoever was leading the helm here was at least trying to differentiate the live-action adaptations by giving them a darker, more mature feel. I believe this was true of Maleficent starring Angelina Jolie, which released in 2014, and even to some extent Cinderella, which was directed by Kenneth Branagh of all people. For me, where things took a turn was the release of Beauty and the Beast in 2017. Beauty and the Beast is probably up there as my favorite animated movie of all time, besides maybe Lilo and Stitch. And to me, this felt like the first time that Disney was trying to do something bigger than a more mature live-action adaptation of an old property. Beauty and the Beast was part of like the golden age of Disney and is beloved by plenty of people, so there really wasn't a reason to reboot it in any way that would be too much of a departure from the original. But Beauty and the Beast, like, it's perfect. There is nothing you can really do to improve upon it. But Disney knew that this had the potential to make them a lot of money, especially when they got Emma Watson to sign on to the project as Belle. There have been plenty of video essays about this, but this is where Disney really started to kick up their progressive revisionism marketing phase. Everyone knows that Disney princess stories aren't exactly the most feminist in nature, and no one really needed them to be that way then or now. However, instead of engaging with any actual serious critique of the problematic aspects of Disney's past, they instead used this opportunity to punch up what they believed were easy wins in the progressive marketing tactic era. They made Belle an inventor, they allowed her to have more, I don't know, aggressive banter with the Beast, and they even snuck in a gay character that they could easily edit out for foreign audiences. The film received mixed reviews because they couldn't really take anything away from the original story, and what they added was not very substantive and came off as pandering, and the rest of it was like, fine. Emma Watson was fine, the costumes were fine. But in my mind, there really is nothing you can do to recapture this, or this, or this in live action. Like, you just can't. People like to discredit the fact that animation is what made these movies so special in the first place, and remakes that are mostly CGI with some notable actors makes the whole thing seem so depersonalized. But it made a shit ton of money, so on to the next one. Things get really bad within the next stretch of live-action remakes, folks. I'm talking Dumbo, Aladdin, The Lion King, and Mulan. Dumbo is not quite as egregious as the other three because its original is like a world away at this point, but that also didn't make for, you know, a very good movie because there's only so much you can do with a flying elephant when it's not 1930 and you're trying to avoid the acid trip scenes and the racism. These other three, though, all beloved favorites of the 90s that do not have any business getting remade. If you ask someone my age what their favorite Disney movie is, chances are it is one of these three. And the main issue here is that whoever is in charge of these films by this point in time is deviating in all of the wrong ways, but not changing anything enough to prove to an audience that they're worth remaking in the first place. I have a friend whose favorite movie of all time is Aladdin, and they walked out of this live-action remake like mid-movie, because it was so devoid of charm and humor and gorgeous animation, and on top of that, they decided to desecrate Robin Williams' iconic portrayal of the genie by casting Will Smith to do a soulless kind of imitation that captured none of what made the original great. Mulan is a whole train wreck because they changed too much. They decided not to make it a musical like the original and strip the remake of any of the charm it could have had by removing characters like Li Shang and Mushu. And on top of that, it had like the most cursed production history out of maybe any Disney movie ever.
Criticism has been directed at the fact that filming took place in the autonomous region of Xinjiang, where human rights abuses are taking place.
There was criticism over having a production team largely composed of people of non-Asian, Chinese descent, such as for the roles of director, costume designer, and screenwriter.
Mulan's love interest from the original film, Captain Li Shang, was dropped in response to the Me Too movement.
I support Hong Kong police. You can beat me now. What a shame for Hong Kong. This sparked international controversy, with Liu being accused of supporting police brutality in Hong Kong.
And the peak of all of this nonsense has to, of course, be the 2019 remake of The Lion King, a movie that is not even live action because it's all animated, it just has photorealistic animals. The film is an entire shot-for-shot remake that basically adds nothing new to the concept of the original, and pretty much ruins any emotional impact it could have had due to the soulless animation and over-reliance on stunt casting. If you want an in-depth look at everything wrong with this movie, you know where to go. So yeah, everyone eventually caught on to the fact that these movies are useless, pretty much always empty, and get panned by critics every time they're released. So why exactly does Disney live-action remake discourse grab everyone by the balls every time it comes around? Let's start by unpacking our most recent example. Disney has basically made a masterclass in duping people to care about this movie, in a way that's a little scummier than I think we all realize. A few years ago, it was announced that Halle Bailey would be taking on the role of Ariel. A choice that shouldn't be controversial because she's a wonderful singer, which is kind of Ariel's whole thing, but she doesn't look like the original character. The manufactured outrage machine was quick to point out that Disney was kowtowing to the woke scolds because a fictional mermaid isn't white with red hair. This is dumb, but social media completely eats this shit up. It's an easy dunk for the Ben Shapiros and the Steven Crowders of the world, and an even easier dunk for all of the leftist and neo-lib culture critics who like to point out how stupid this shit is on Twitter. The endless discourse cycle, no matter which side of it you're on, has saved the reputation of this movie. Let's be clear, the movie does not look good. Every scene is too dark, the live-action creature designs leave little to be desired, and it's probably going to be a boring remake with nothing to offer, you know, like every other one of these has been. But because Disney more or less threw Halle to the wolves with this situation, subjecting her to a barrage of racist hate because this is how all media is interpreted now, the powers that be are very well aware of that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have cast her, obviously, but I am saying that this was calculated, and I hope she's getting the support that she needs behind the scenes, because this amount of hate is probably really hard for anyone to deal with, famous or not. At the same time, I've seen people defending this movie tooth and nail, saying that they'll be there opening day to see it, and like, why? The movie isn't going to be good. You guys have never liked any of the ones before this that I just rattled off. I guess I understand wanting to support Halle, but you're not really supporting her, you're just enabling Disney to keep doing this rushed CGI cash grab bullshit. I mean, why are we advocating for this movie to be good when it's not gonna be good, when Disney could have just easily cast Halle as a new, original, black Disney princess? Maybe bring some diverse storytelling talent on board to make it happen. I feel like that's more of a net good for diversity in children's media than a remake that mistreats its VFX artists and has no actual creativity or groundbreaking material to offer. These arguments seem to all make sense if you think about it for more than a few seconds, but still, every time there's a floated rumor about a live-action Disney remake, Twitter is filled with hypothetical casting choices of a million different actors with people calling out other people for their takes and like, why do you want your favorite actors to be in bad movies? Why do you want that for them? And they're absolutely never going to pick who you want them to. I'd go as far as to say that when these rumors about live-action remakes are leaked, not even if or when they're eventually confirmed, Disney casting already has like at least 3 actors in mind for the role. The most recent examples I saw in regards to this were The Princess and the Frog and Lilo and Stitch. Now, Princess and the Frog is an interesting one because I don't recall seeing an actual confirmation anywhere about a live-action remake being in the works, and yet Twitter was filled with a bunch of hype for their fantasy casts. You'd think the thing was actually, like, officially announced. In fact, there's fake news websites taking advantage of the rumors for clickbait. Lilo and Stitch at least had a formal announcement of a lead actress, but let me ask you this. And I mean this so genuinely and seriously. Do you really want a live-action Stitch? Just think about it for like a minute. Knowing what we know about Disney's live-action design capabilities, do we as a society really need a live-action Stitch? And even with Lilo and Stitch, I found myself falling for it too. Like, I was liking tweets about different actresses hypothetically playing Pleakley, and I was like, holy shit, I'm falling into this same psychological trap. What is wrong with me? It's a phenomenon that Disney largely benefits from because they obviously don't give a shit about your fan casts and they're gonna do what they want anyway, especially if these trash fires continue to make money. But this week they stooped to a new low, announcing a live-action remake of Disney's Moana. Up until this point, every remake was using material that was at least 10 to 15 years old, usually older. But Moana came out in 2016. It turned 7 in November. There is no reason for this thing to be in production, let alone exist in anyone's mind at all. Especially because no one can even do the fan cast discourse this time around. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Auli'i Cravalho will be reprising their roles. So what are you gonna do? Cast Kieran Culkin as Heihei? Omar Apollo as Tamatoa? Like, what are we doing here? The likely reason that this thing was announced is that every studio does whatever Dwayne Johnson says for some reason, and also because Moana is one of the most popular original properties that Disney has made in the last decade. Because it's great, and the music is great, and the animation is great. You know what you could do, Disney? Make more things like Moana. Hell, even make a sequel to Moana. Make a Moana anime, I don't care. I just know that the inevitable trailer for this remake is going to hurt me physically because the water, which had so much life and personality in the original, is going to look like diluted McDonald's Sprite, and Te Fiti is going to look like this. So what's the solution? Well, there really isn't one. Disney will make these as long as people come to see them. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a live-action Encanto remake within the next 5 years. But I guess I see projects like Turning Red and Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots, and I'm optimistic about what the future of animation, real animation, can be. And whether Disney catches up, well, that's on them. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, I'm gonna be out of commission for a little while because I am getting a tooth ripped out of my mouth, so I might be silent on here for a week or two, but who knows, maybe I'll be bright and fresh and ready to go. In the meantime, you can follow me on my socials, which are linked below as they always are. Feel free to check out any videos that I have up going on. There's always something on here for you to watch, and I'll see you next time.